Okay, so today we're going to be looking at something pretty wild
Oh, yeah.
from the Old Testament.
Yeah?
Leviticus Chapter 10.
It's a good one.
Yeah, and we've got Matthew Henry's commentary to kind of help us guide through this because this story is pretty crazy.
It's intense.
It's about Aaron the high priest,
Right.
and his sons Nadab and Abihu,
Yeah.
and
They don't fare too well.
they don't fare well at all. So.
Yeah. So right away, what's interesting is the setting.
Oh yeah.
You know, the Israelites, they just got out of Egypt.
Yeah.
They built the tabernacle.
Yeah.
As this like portable, symbol of God's presence. And
Right.
there's a sense of like new beginnings, right?
Oh.
Like a fresh start.
New era.
Aaron and his sons are consecrated as priests.
Huge deal.
Huge honor. You would think it would be a time of like celebration.
Right.
Everyone's like, yes, new nation, new leadership. This is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Total high point. And then bam.
Things go south.
Two of the priests, Nadab and Abihu,
Yeah.
they go to offer incense in the tabernacle.
Yeah.
But they use strange fire,
Oh.
not the fire that was specifically designated for that altar.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, to us, that might seem like a minor detail.
You would think so.
Right.
But
Yeah.
in this context, it's a massive deal.
Really?
The fire on the altar was seen as a direct manifestation of God's presence.
Oh, wow.
To use any other fire.
Okay.
It's just like blatant disregard for the sanctity of the ritual.
Right.
Like almost saying like, our fire's as good as God's.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just about like following the instructions to the letter.
Right.
It was like a direct challenge.
It was like, who are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, to God's authority.
Yeah, that puts a whole new spin on things.
Totally.
Yeah.
And the consequences are immediate and severe.
Yeah.
Fire comes forth from the Lord
Whoa.
and consumes Nadab and Abihu.
That's hardcore.
Yeah, just imagine being like one of the Israelites
Oh my God.
witnessing this.
Talk about a power move.
Yeah.
So I can't even imagine. That must have been terrifying.
To see these two guys just go up in flames.
So how does Aaron, their father, react to all this?
Well, Leviticus tells us that he accepted it in silence.
Oh, wow.
Now that silence is open to so many interpretations.
What do you think it means?
Is it grief? Is it shock?
Right.
Maybe even quiet questioning of God's judgment.
That's a good point.
You know?
I mean, wouldn't you question why your sons were just incinerated?
Yeah.
Even if it was because of a ritualistic mistake?
It's your kids.
Yeah. But the story doesn't stop there.
No, it gets even more interesting.
Oh, boy.
Moses instructs Aaron and his remaining sons not to publicly mourn Nadab and Abihu.
What?
The entire house of Israel is to mourn,
Okay.
but the priests themselves
Right.
cannot.
So they can't even grieve their own children.
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, it emphasizes this distinction
Okay.
between the priests
Yeah.
and the rest of the community.
Right.
Their grief is a separate, more internal matter
Right.
because their role is to represent God's holiness,
Okay.
even in the face of personal tragedy.
So there's this idea that the priests are set apart.
Yes.
Their holiness comes with a cost.
Be tight.
And that cost is apparently suppressing their own grief.
Yeah. Wow.
Heavy stuff.
That's heavy.
And commentator Matthew Henry
Okay.
adds another layer to this.
Ew.
He suggests that Nadab and Abihu
Yeah.
might have been drunk when they offered the incense,
Really?
acting presumptuously
Okay.
and therefore deserving of punishment.
Okay.
But he also acknowledges that their actions could have been from ignorance.
Oh.
Wow.
So were they deliberately defying God?
Right.
Or was it just like a tragic accident?
Uh,
Fueled by, shall we say, a little too much celebratory wine?
Yeah, a little holiday cheer gone wrong.
How do we know what their intentions were?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah. Does God punish unintentional mistakes
Right.
with this kind of severity?
Yeah.
Or were Nadab and Abihu making a statement,
Right.
consciously pushing the boundaries?
Yeah. And if it was an accident,
Right.
what does that say about the nature of divine justice?
Exactly.
Man, that's a lot to unpack.
Lots to think about.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if such a seemingly small ritualistic error could have such catastrophic consequences. Like, what other rules and regulations were in place
Yeah.
to prevent this from happening again?
Yeah, that's where things get even more interesting.
Yeah.
So right after this whole incident, God lays down some new ground rules,
Okay.
specifically for the priests.
Uh-huh.
It's like he's saying, okay, let's be very clear about what's expected here.
Okay.
He tells Aaron
Right.
that neither he nor his sons
Yeah.
are to drink wine or strong drink when entering the tabernacle.
So not only can they not mourn publicly,
Right.
now there's a no booze policy too.
Yeah.
I'm sensing a theme here.
Yeah. It definitely points to the importance of like ritual purity and clarity of mind
Yeah.
when interacting with the divine.
Yeah.
Remember the priests, they were like mediators between God and the people.
Right.
They couldn't be stumbling around tipsy when
Right.
dealing with holy matters.
Makes sense, especially after what just happened. You don't
Yeah.
want to be making any more fiery mistakes.
Not a good look.
But it does raise the question,
Yeah.
was alcohol involved in Nadab and Abihu's actions?
Well, the text doesn't explicitly say that,
Right.
but the timing of this new rule is certainly suggestive.
Yeah.
Maybe it was a pre-existing issue.
Yeah.
Or maybe this was a specific response to the strange fire incident.
Okay.
Either way,
Right.
it emphasizes that priestly duties require a certain level of sobriety
Yeah.
and mental sharpness.
Right. Like they need to be on top of their game at all times. No room for blurry lines between the sacred and the the not so sacred.
Exactly. And the instructions get even more specific from there.
Okay.
There's a whole section about how certain offerings are to be eaten.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't believe this, but there's a right way
Oh no.
and a wrong way to eat a sacrifice.
Really? Okay, now that's where I need some clarification.
Yeah.
We've talked about atonement,
Right.
but to be honest, I'm a little fuzzy on what it actually means in this context.
Sure.
Can you break it down for me?
So in the Old Testament system,
Yeah.
atonement basically means making amends for sin,
Okay.
seeking reconciliation with God.
Right.
And in this case,
Yeah.
eating certain offerings was part of the priestly duty.
Okay.
They weren't just having a snack.
Uh-huh.
They were symbolically taking on the sins of the people.
Whoa. Hold on.
Yeah.
So they're literally consuming sin.
It's all symbolic, of course.
Okay.
But the idea is that the priests are acting as mediators,
Okay.
taking on the burden of impurity
Right.
so that the people can be cleansed. It's a pretty heavy responsibility,
No kidding.
both literally and figuratively.
You'd need a strong stomach for that,
Yeah.
both physically and emotionally.
Totally.
And speaking of emotional burdens,
Right.
remember how Aaron and his sons weren't allowed to mourn Nadab and Abihu?
Oh, right.
Well, that grief seems to play a role later on in the chapter.
You're picking up on some key details here.
Oh, yeah.
Later on, Moses discovers that Aaron's remaining sons
Yeah.
didn't eat the sin offering as they were commanded to.
Oh.
And he's understandably upset.
Sounds like someone forgot to read the memo.
Yeah.
But why was it so important for them to eat that specific offering?
Well, remember that sin offering was all about purification,
Okay.
making things right with God
Uh-huh.
by eating it.
Right.
The priests were essentially absorbing the weight of the people's transgressions,
Okay.
helping to restore that balance.
Right.
It was a crucial part of the whole atonement process.
So skipping out on the sin-eating buffet wasn't just bad table manners.
Right.
It was a serious breach of protocol.
You don't do that.
What was Aaron's excuse for this oversight?
So Aaron defends his sons,
Okay.
saying that given the tragic events of the day,
Right.
their brothers being consumed by fire,
Yeah.
they felt that eating the sin offering wouldn't be accepted by God. It's like they're saying we're so messed up by what happened,
Right.
we're not in the right state of mind to perform this duty.
That's actually a pretty human response.
Yeah.
Considering the circumstances. I mean, the brothers just died.
Right.
They're probably feeling a whole mix of grief, guilt, fear.
Of course.
It makes you wonder if they were even thinking straight.
Totally understandable.
Yeah.
It definitely adds a layer of complexity to the situation.
Right.
And what's really interesting is that Moses accepts Aaron's explanation.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
He doesn't get all fire and brimstone on them
Nope.
for messing up the ritual.
And that's a crucial detail. It shows that even within this incredibly strict system of laws and rituals,
Yeah.
there's room for human understanding,
Oh, wow.
for compassion.
So it's not just about blindly following the rules.
Right.
There's some nuance here.
Yeah.
Some recognition of the emotional and psychological impact
Totally.
of what these priests are going through.
Yeah,
That makes the whole story feel more, human.
it does.
Yeah.
And it raises some important questions about the relationship
Okay.
between obedience and understanding.
Right.
The balance between upholding the law
Right.
and acknowledging the complexities of human experience.
Wow. Okay, so we've gone from strange fire
Yeah, we've been all over the place.
to divine no drinking policies
Ah,
to the finer points of sacrificial dining etiquette.
it's been a ride.
And now we're talking about the emotional toll of priesthood,
Yeah,
the weight of responsibility these guys carried.
it's heavy stuff.
What a journey.
It's a reminder that even these ancient texts
Yeah.
are filled with layers of meaning, with reflections of the human condition
Yeah.
that we can still relate to today.
Absolutely.
And there's still more to explore.
Man, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah, we have.
From the shock of Nadab and Abihu's death
Right?
to all the strict regulations that followed.
It's a lot to process.
It's been intense, to say the least.
Yeah.
But what does it all mean? Like, what's the takeaway for us, thousands of years later?
On one level, it's a pretty stark reminder
Okay.
of the importance of ritual and obedience
Right.
in the context of faith.
Yeah.
These weren't just arbitrary rules,
Right.
They were seen as essential for maintaining that connection
Yeah.
with the divine.
Like stepping out of line, even unintentionally,
Right.
had serious consequences.
Big time.
Yeah, but I'm also struck by the fact that there's this human element woven throughout the story.
Oh, absolutely.
Aaron's silence,
Right.
the prohibition on mourning,
Right.
the
The acceptance of his explanation.
the acceptance of his explanation about the sin offering.
Right.
It's not just about blind adherence to rules.
No, it's not just like checking off the boxes,
Right.
There's more to it than that.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so interesting.
Yeah.
Is that there's this tension between the divine and the human.
Right.
The absolute authority of God
Yeah.
and the fallibility
Yeah.
of even those chosen to serve him.
And that's something that, we still grapple with today.
Absolutely. I mean, we all make mistakes, right?
All the time.
Maybe not on the scale of, offering strange fire to the Lord,
Hopefully not.
but but we mess up.
Right.
We misinterpret things. We
Yeah.
act out of emotion, and we have to deal with the consequences.
And that's where this story, I think, gets really interesting.
Okay.
It's not just a historical account.
Right.
It's a reflection of our own struggles
Uh-huh.
with faith, with understanding the boundaries
Yeah.
between the sacred
Right.
and the profane.
It makes you think about the whole, role of intention versus outcome.
Right.
Did Nadab and Abihu deliberately defy God,
Yeah.
or were they just careless?
Right.
Does it even matter when the consequences are so severe?
Those are questions that have been debated for centuries.
Right.
And there's no easy answer.
Yeah.
But I think what's important is that we engage with those questions,
Yeah.
that we wrestle with the complexities
Yeah.
of faith and the human condition.
That's what I love about these deep dives.
Me too.
Is they take us beyond the surface level. They
Yeah.
force us to confront the uncomfortable questions,
Right.
to think critically about what we believe and why.
Exactly.
This has been an incredible exploration of Leviticus.
It has.
And I have to say, I'm walking away with a whole new perspective on the story of Nadab and Abihu.
Awesome.
It's more than just a cautionary tale. It's a reflection of the human journey.
It really is.
The
Yeah.
the search for meaning and connection in the
Yeah.
face of the unknown.
That's a great way to put it.
Well, it's been a pleasure having you on to talk about this.
It's been fun.
And to all our listeners out there, we hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity and left you with some food for thought. What resonated with you the most?
Yeah.
What questions are you still wrestling with?
Right.
We encourage you to keep exploring,
Yeah.
keep asking those tough questions, and keep diving deep into the mysteries of the world,
Absolutely.
both ancient and modern.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Until next time, happy diving.